Good morning, everybody. Namaste and happiness to all. Happiness to all because this could be the easiest. But the contradiction is that this has become the most difficult. Not only difficult, happiness seems impossible. But it's the easiest. This experience itself of easiness seems to be impossible. Frustration, unhappiness, sadness, agony, pain, fear, this all seems so easy and possible. Not only possible, but we can all see that on Earth, planet, it has become the easiest. Why it has become the easiest? Because of our lifestyles. Okay, I accept that the emergency which we create politically and impose on others, government to government, is something which could be avoided reasonably, yes. This emergency was imposed on our human beings from the animal kingdom. At the time when there were jungles and there were animals and reptiles and however poisonous, wild, accidental lifestyles which cannot be avoided because this was coming from the evolution. Evolution didn't stop at this. Sometimes I feel, and I don't know, but this word Solaris comes to me again and again from this movie of George Clooney and also the Russian version, and in which there was this term used that Solaris is a place where it is more intelligent than human beings. Solaris is a place where the space and the cosmos, where it is more intelligent than any species born in the cosmos. It is intelligent and it knows beforehand, and so it plays a part in making things more perfect, or however you take. So I consider this Solaris that actually we are living on Earth and in this cosmos, and it is a Solaris, I feel, importantly, and it is very important that it's just not a movie, but they have accidentally, like coming from the dreams. It's not a fiction, but the dreams say something about the reality. The shadow says something about the original image. And the original image of life is Solaris, which is super intelligent, super conscious. The seed of super consciousness in the very existence of every atom. And since evolution, and since the human evolution, the emergency was imposed on us by the animal kingdom, but existence did not stop at that. It created human beings. And with a supermind and with the intelligence, with the brain system and the heart functioning and our body system, and everything. The existence proved right. It did create a superior race. We are all human beings, and this is supposed to be more superior than the animals or any other species on earth. But 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 what I mean is here that it's a joke. I mean, like, it's hilarious to see that human beings have proved themselves to be the worst animals on earth or in the cosmos or historically, since history infinite, and it seems like it goes on and on to make history in the coming years, centuries and decades, and one civilization to another civilization. The inner animal memory gets expanded to the worst kind of civilization we have created. It was okay that the animals had created an emergency on the human beings, so we were making and creating our society in an emergency from getting saved by the animal kingdom, by the insects, tigers, lions, elephants, dinosaurs, I mean snakes, scorpions, and I don't know, wolves, and I don't know how many to count of them. I'm not a I didn't have this subject zoology, but I can't. But these number of animals, I mean, they could be millions of insects and all kinds of animals which were making life for human intelligence to grow, and it was a total disaster for human beings. So we created a civilization right from Stone Age in emergency, creating weapons and all kinds of caves, and then came the houses, and then the tree houses, and so on and on. And then we learned the swing motion, and gunpowder came, and fire was there, and muscle power started growing, and with it came the mind, with it came the reasoning. And in the meantime, we also did inherit many of the animal, many, and all of them maybe, the inherent qualities of animals, of camouflaging, of conquering, and of fighting, and of winning, and territory and territorial limitations of each human being, and like the animals have every account of it. And the speed grew in terms of all kinds of inventions of vehicles and cars, and the flying birds came out to be aeroplanes, and so it goes on. But hopelessly and helplessly, we still use all the strategies for the animal kingdom, to the animal kingdom, of the animal kingdom. Democracy or communism or whatever you call, or dictatorship, they are just words, empty words. Yet, to some extent, these words had some quality of human beings, but hopelessly and helplessly, they still belong to the animal kingdom of a kind of hierarchy. Each human being wants to live against his fellow man, is against his neighbor house or neighbor village or neighbor religion, for hierarchy. So it's like now we have millions of excuses to fight. Before, there could have been an excuse of hunger, an excuse of being a different species, the color or the shape and size, the excuse of showing your male power for the sake of female. The excuses were limited in the animal kingdom. But now we have found every excuse to fight, every excuse to be violent, every excuse to be worse than an animal. Everything has expanded into a kind of bio-weaponry and bioweapons invented, the genetically created, all the scientific inventions are enslaved to the animal political system. Then what else? What is the hope? Is there any hope for human beings to survive? Or is it going to be a slow death to the whole human race? Which seems to be very clearly be seen from years to which we have lived, and maybe another thousands of years of slow poisoning, psychologically slow poisoned ideas and pseudo discriminations that we ought to live just to find ourselves as a global suicide, which doesn't seem apparent right now in the present moment, because the things move slowly and slowly, and they're so slow that we just have that much of memory. We don't have that much of memory to see that actually it's a global suicide what we are going for in 1,000 years. In the meantime, we booze about, we feel very respectable and dignified human beings in the name of scientific inventions. And not only scientific inventions, but also what comes to my mind is that, let's say the other class of people, the entertainment class, for example, I would say surely Bollywood and Hollywood is responsible. And the economical class who actually invented money. The engineers and the mechanical and the electrical engineers and the science around it, which keeps on and on creating a million devices to give more enslavements and more dependencies to human race. And in the name of sophistication, it is nothing much more than two human beings being separated. It only proves that we human beings distrust each other. And just to cover up that distrust, we try to show each of ourselves as superior and the other inferior, and we keep on going on with that same animal triad. Where is love? Where is the compassion? Privatization is one of the principles of accumulation of capital, of money, on behalf of million people who are poor just because of this privatization. I mean, is there any word more illusionary than privatization? Can anything be privatized on earth? What are you trying to privatize? Your biology? Your chemistry? Your physics? Your psychology of long age? Are you trying to attain immortality? Let's come to the point. I've seen a few videos being made, and they're coming from the West, European countries, and it's a kind of a misunderstanding being created in human beings that they are not afraid of death, and they don't care about death. Let me have an encounter with such people face to face. Wherever I am, come face to face with me and let me see how you are not afraid of death. And you make a video that you don't care about death. And in the meantime, you're looking for long age. It's not long age, my dear friends. In the shadow of long age, you want to be immortal. You want to attain to immortality. The kidney transplants, the heart transplants, organ transplants, what all is this about? This is not about long age. This would go to the further end to attain to immortality. And you governments and you the system, the political system, the education system, I don't know how to say about this education system. Is it worth to be called an education system? There are around 20 points very clearly enough that we prove ourselves to be the worse than animals. We do not know how to live life yet. We have only learned to substitute, to camouflage, to hide behind good words, good smiles, good materialistic dependencies, muscle power, gun power, and what all you call is charisma. Maybe your magical and your physical appearances. We have suppressed, one society has suppressed another society. One group suppresses another's group. One civilization suppresses another civilization. From generation to generation. And this comes back to from human being to human being. Finally, we have not even achieved the originality of problems. What are the original problems and what are the artificial ones, the superficial ones? When 99% of our life gets hanged, remains stagnant and retarded, and we lose all our 70, 80, 90 years of age, energy and time into these artificial, superficial problems. We never ever come across, rarely enough, to the original problem. What is our original problem? To find an original solution. We have millions of artificial problems to have artificial solutions, and we remain illusioned about our life, of our immortality, behind all these artificial problems and solutions. This is a surprise. It is ridiculous. This is impossible to happen on this earth. I have not yet touched the most important thing which has happened on earth yet. I think I should better come to the point. I have the right to be angry because I look like an angry father. My age is around 58, but I already feel as if I am psychology kind of 50,000 years old. Maybe 10,000, whenever the human race came into existence. The point is, where are the enlightened, self-illuminated people who are self-illuminized? Where are they? How did you crucify them and poison them and made their life a punishment in the lifetimes, and you keep on doing this? The governments don't feel shame. Group of people, organized people, the professional people, the rich people, or the poor people, nobody feels shame. The educational people, the law and order system, the judges, the lawyers, the saints, the priests, the pundits, empty intellectualism, parrot, book writers, parrot godmans, there is no shame. There is no acceptance in them that they have. All of us have a certain quality which is common to each species on earth. We all have fear in us, and the fear is not exposed, and so they behave as they are fearless and shallow talking of spirituality, yoga, religion. Of course, imitation of words like parrots. No criterias are there, so they can say anything. No examination, no criterias. So you can call yourself pretty enlightened, sitting at your house, having some kind of following in millions, having all kinds of people around you, getting them politically across you, and in the meantime you learn many things coming from the real masters, and you punish them and murder them. So it's not by chance. The hierarchy and the ego system we have in our society is very pseudo, it's very retarded yet. So the first thing is, which is our original problem? And the second thing is, who are these enlightened people, and what is enlightenment, and what is self-elimination? And we'll come back to this problem of which is the original problem. And we could see this. We can witness it everywhere. It is around you right now. In whatever situation you are sitting there around the globe, you can have the original problem just inside you, and you need to encounter it. At the best of the best, you can reflect over it, because it's an inner animal cellular memory coming from the animal kingdom, quite intermingled in us, from the cellular information system. And this is, for example, I could talk about 20 qualities. You could feel empty inside you, emptiness, which you say is kind of negative feeling inside you. Loneliness, strangeness, restlessness, boredom, forgetfulness, anger, your sex energy, ego, fear, guilty consciousness, jealousies and jealousies, weaknesses, ignorance, arrogance, stubbornness, pain, escapism, and, for example, so they are around 20. Sleep, unconsciousness, inertia of habits, blindness. All of these qualities are disqualifications in the animal kingdom. and which have become the most idiotic and most stupid and the most foolish. Foolishness is another triad which has entered human species, which was natural to enter. There's no blame in it, which was natural to enter into every human being, all these animal triads. But we have been given a miraculous machinery in our body, that is the brain and the ability of brain to think, to reason, to respond to the stimuli, to find the cause, and the heart, the expansion and the contraction of it. The ability to feel, the ability to act, the ability to control the act, the ability to find the right answer or the wrong answer, the ability to analyze, contradict, and to find the contradictions and to go beyond it. All of these are human abilities which have, which could, which must, which would. It's all would, could, should, must transform from the animal kingdom of those 20, 30 animal qualities. They are qualities in the animal kingdom. Why? Because if the tiger is not able to be hungry and overcome, he won't be able to overcome his hunger, and he needs to be using an amount of force and pressure which we can interpret as anger. But if you find that if you see a tiger preying on a deer or another small animal or any animal, if you have noticed, there's no anger on their faces. It's just the need. There's no sense of anger and feeling very dignified about the biggest anger and so on, like the human beings do. And they are not very much self-conscious about the power either. They have the power, they simply have the power from the existence, and that is it. They are not even aware of the power, and then maybe the awareness is there, but it's to use it for the hunger and for different other purposes, for the territory or for the female. Very few excuses to be violent. But we human beings, when we pray at another person for anything, you can see the cunning, the wicked, respectability and dignifiedness on as if we are very happy to do it. And we find millions of excuses to put the other person down. Feeling separate from the rest of the world, this comes in as an highlight in human beings. Animals also feel separate, they also feel lonely, but it doesn't get highlighted. But in human beings, the feeling of separation is intensely, it's highlighted 1,000,000 trillion times. And so are other qualities. So what is the original problem here? The original problem is that how our inner animal resources of energy, which are qualified in the human which are qualified in the animal kingdom but are totally disqualified in the human species, human manifestation system of living life. So the original problem is how to transform it, how to sublimate it, how to mutate it into as a human value, as a human utmost value of love, compassion, blissfulness, total freedom, infinite creativity, eternal energy, discovery, self-discovery of eternal energy, and even the feeling of separation is lost, totally illusioned and disillusioned into cosmic oneness, of microscopic oneness here. Simply the discovery of enlightenment and self-illumination, and where from the compassion rises and the passion to live life, and all the contradictions get dissolved. So this is transmutation, this is sublimation, this comes from witnessing, observation, consciousness, and this comes from yoga, spirituality and religion. This is supposed to come, and we have ample reasons and ample they're not enough though. It's a very poor show. It's a very, 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 very poor show of we human beings are having maybe not more than 10,000 enlightened people on earth, when the population since 10,000 years could be trillions and trillions of people died, and they are still there on earth, and none of them has created a system, a university, a global university, and we could not yet have a globe of enlightened people. We couldn't have as many colleges and universities for enlightenment, as many as they are for the science and politics and economics and pseudo psychology and pseudo psychiatrists and the pseudo monks and everything going on. And the pseudo education is there for in these pseudo universities with pseudo educational teachers, and there's not yet a single system where there could have been millions of universities for enlightenment, self-illumination. Today I happen to talk about all of this a little bit. I was accelerated by watching a video, and the name of the person is, I think she's a woman, or maybe, I don't know, but the woman is talking in the video and she comes from a Western European country. I have not gone to the details, but her name seems to be Caroline Goswami, and I mean, it's not really that I'm blaming her of any sort. I'm sorry if you shouldn't be feeling like that, because it just triggered something in me which I should be talking on the video and make a video just to have this clear point that one government and another government and governments, I mean the European and the European Western cultures and the civilization, I feel, are more responsible for spiritual and yogic and religious evolution now at this time of years and this time of century, where it was never before, where India and Middle East countries and Pakistan or China whoever, and they are more responsible for bringing in education rather than keeping rest of the world consoled with good words. And I felt that this uh, this video was enhancing false consolements and escapism and false kinds of repression and suppression in all of the Indians and the resources in the Middle East. And this is supposed to be very unfortunate and very sad, and I was really feeling upset. But in the meantime, I did pity the situation, because the person doesn't know what he or she is talking about. Because I've seen not only this video, but I know that normally when I talk to Western and European people in Rishikesh and around India, and even the Osho sannyasis and the Osho sannyasis, the European and the Western Osho sannyasis are the most responsible people on earth right now, who are not trying to educate the rest of the Osho sannyasis of the world. And also it goes from government to government. Why you need to keep them unnecessarily substituted as a second-hand human being, as a second-hand generation, whether it is from India, Pakistan, China, or Middle East countries, and why you need to keep them retarded when you already have come across certain kind of truth of evolution, where you are very much expanded in social structure and your social lifestyles. For example, marriage. Marriage is one big institution in the whole world. But the Western and European countries, I believe, and I can see it, when they move in bunches and they are not married at all and they live so happily. And especially this comes from Osho lifestyle, which is the commune lifestyle. He transformed the whole society, even in India, and this is unbelievable. It is such a miracle to do this, to create this in India, from marriage system to commune system. Commune system is one big system and one authentic, spontaneous and analytically perfect, psychologically perfect system, where we could actually transform our animal qualities into human qualities. And this could have been done very easily, because and the psychologist could understand it quite easily. But I see that the psychologists and the psychiatrists all over the world are keeping their eyes closed. Their eyes closed because I don't see any news, any videos been made, and any clear-cut clarification of changing societies. But this happened in India starting from 1965 or 1970s, that the society started changing in India very quickly, and a certain part of India was quite changing quickly when the pseudo system started interfering and with their pseudo systems, and so the other awareness consciousness system did collapse almost, and it was being taken up and sucked into the European Western civilizations, and And one of the masters, he's my master too, Osho Rajneesh, was taken over to America, Oregon. So I talked about these two things, the original, let's come across the original question and the original solution. And next, who are these enlightened people and what is this enlightenment? Self-elimination. And the original problem, I've talked about the inner animal cellular memory is the original problem. And the third point I did give was also about fearing death, and one should start accepting it and totally accepting it, the fear of death, and encountering it with certain analysis and practicality of dissolving the fear of death, which would actually end up into enlightenment, self-elimination, or attainment of meditation. And the fourth point, I would come back and talk about a beautiful thing called sex. Ego, fear, and love. I would talk about its practical emphasis, the experimentation part, and also would talk against money values. Does money has any value, or it's just a shadow living? If we cling to a shadow of life, then where is life? So my dear friends, I would stop at this right now. Thank you.